Conversations here and beyond will be focusing on the elections as we're building up to the 15th of January 2026. There's so many questions that are coming up, and one wonders, where are our answers? Well, I do believe that my panel this morning in our Kickstarter will provide some light and some answers to some of the questions that have been raised recently, looking to preventing and responding to election violence and disruption under the theme building confidence in policing during the election time, because at the end of the day, you do have the Electoral Commission that is the overseer or the convener of the electoral cycle that we are in, but of course it gets its support in law and order management through the mandate of the Uganda police. Uganda heading into yet another heavy cycle. Many people before November were saying, how come things are different this time round? Where is the violence? Nga police is being well behaved. Then November came, and I know that many of those have been changed into something else. And now you ask so many questions and so many whys. Well, persistent concerns about intimidation, violence, and public mistrust of security agencies is something that is on the mouths of Ugandans. Afrobarometer's latest survey showing that 30% of Ugandans currently believe security forces often use excessive force, 25% citing arbitrary arrests, and 60% fearing violence or intimidation during campaigning periods. Yet the 2024 Uganda Police Crime Report recorded only 105 political and electoral offences, with just 3 convictions between then and now. This gap between public fear and what we're looking at as law accountability is speaking to deeper questions about policing, about political competition, how is it free and fair, about militarization, and of course the credibility of the electoral processes. So this morning we're going to be unpacking these questions with my guest. To my immediate left, I do have Corporal Anatoli Muleterwa, who's the head of the community policing. This is the Uganda Police Forces. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Priscilla. Good morning, everybody. Wish you the best of informative and educative talk show.
All right, and today being Monday, the Uganda Police always releases a briefing on some of the escalated situations in different parts of the country. He'll be giving us a sneak peek into that. We also do have Nelson Agaba, who's the National Youth League Coordinator. This is with the Alliance for National Transformation. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Priscilla, and good morning, viewers and Ugandans.
I'm
glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. We also do have Mr. Fred Bamwine, Commissioner, Office of the President. Good morning to you.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. Good morning, viewers of NTV. And I want to thank my colleagues who are already here and wish them good participation.
Okay. Well, these gentlemen are all wearing the national flag, so that should create some sort of unity in the conversation that we're going to be having. But George Musisi took it to another level, and he decided to do a vest of the national flag from the opposition National Unity Platform, also aspirant Kira Municipality. Good morning to you, George.
Good morning, Priscilla. Good morning to the viewers. Always a pleasure to be here.
Okay. All right, let's start with setting the scene. What is the root of our political violence? And of course, all this embedded in what has transpired for the National Unity Platform. In the last 5 days, as you've been traversing northern Uganda, you have faced quite a number of hiccups and challenges in order to fulfill your mandate as a political party with a presidential candidate that are meant to be going through what should ideally be preserved as the rights and freedoms of your participation in this electoral cycle.
Well, Priscilla, if you could stretch it, it would even be, if you go to the last 10 days, remember the violence reached heightened levels when our presidential candidate went to campaign in Kawempe. This is despite the presidential candidate observing the routes that police has agreed upon, security. Then we saw that week, we started with Kawempe, followed by Mukono, Iganga, Buikwe, of course culminating in a death at the end of that week. I don't want to think that this is an isolated case. One of the things that has been, if I have to provide some context, that has bedeviled all our elections since 2001 has been the involvement of security in elections. The partisan involvement of security, because I know Afande Muleterwa will say, yes, security is a stakeholder, true, but the partisan involvement of security agencies, and I don't even want to say police, because many times, like we saw the nasty incident in Gulu, where police is just also a bystander. It's shoved aside. So it has nothing to do with the enforcement of the law. The narratives we've had have always been that, you know, these people disobey the rules, these people stone police officers, and I've always said, if indeed there is any NUP member who has committed a criminal act, treat them according to the law. You don't arrest 100 people like they did in Kawempe, keep them in a police post which can't even contain 20 people ordinarily, keep them standing the whole night. Even if you're carrying out, because police doesn't have a right to break the law as it is enforcing the law. There are some minimum standards of carrying out arrests. There are minimum standards of using violence, which are legally agreeable. What we are seeing, to the contrary, are actually deliberate actions of security meant to harm. We've seen security vehicles deliberately knocking border people, deliberately knocking pedestrians, pepper spraying people at close range. The other day they set canines onto people reminiscent of apartheid days. And then when they bring these people to court, the people whom they have arrested in hordes, like they did in Mbarara, like they did in Kawempe, they don't charge them with the offenses that are in their flowery press releases. They charge them with other offenses. Then goes to the double standards, leaving alone the people arrested. NUP has also been a victim of other political players. In Chirhura, our presidential candidate was stopped from campaigning by violent people, pastoralists, who were wearing yellow T-shirts, and police was watching. None of them has ever been arrested to date. The narrative you'll hear, because I know Anatoli is going to come with a script, that no, NUP has not come up with a complaint. Actually, if I commit a crime in the presence of a police officer, no one has to first complain. Anatoli can arrest me here if I beat Bamwine. Bamwine doesn't have to first complain. In Noya, just 2 days ago, our presidential candidate was, there was a group of yellow-wearing youths at the same rally where our presidential candidate was supposed to be. Police was watching. The other day we saw an office at the level, I think, of ASP being wrestled by another guy. It was a different presidential candidate altogether. You're right in front of the presidential candidate. I don't know whether an arrest has been carried out, but I'm sure if it had been NUP, you'd have seen maybe a shooting. So the double standards, which reached also the highest levels at the incidents of Gulu, where we were victims of violence by security agencies deliberately, and then others were just watching by.
Okay. All right. Bamwine, Fred, looking to Uganda's electoral democracy and its repeated chaos. Before all this chaos erupted, we've been having these conversations with you here, and you've been giving us the assurance that this time round there will be better management of the electoral cycle by the different stakeholders. Begs the question, seeing as that word has not been kept by the government, is it rooted in security strategy, or is it actually rooted in political competition that we are seeing to the extent of most recent scenes, military taking over what we saw in Gulu instead of the Uganda police?
Thank you so much. Your question is based on assumption, assuming other factors constant. It is true, the first 2 months of campaign, actually the argument was they are boring. There is no momentum. But you cannot expect democracy where there are no Democrats. And that's, I think that's too much we are expecting from what is taking place. From the word go, all these you are witnessing They are intelligence-led operations.
Okay. Just allow me a second. We do have our report on ground, Stephen Bide, who's bringing us scenes that would like to have a better understanding of. Good morning to you, Stephen.
Minister Fred Bamwine is using them. I was disqualified from the race because of the documents. Now they have taken the race. I am out of the race. Let them give my documents. All he wanted to be unopposed. Yes, he has achieved it. I want him to give me my documents.
So that is the single
I want my documents.
So you decided to come and chain yourself at the entrance of the UNEB, here at UNEB in Ntinda.
All I want at UNEB, I want them to give me my documents. They cannot be here working when I'm not working. They invited my documents.
But I remember sometime they wrote to you telling you that they're going to invite you for a committee meeting to hear your grievances.
I came here for a hearing. A hearing was done. They failed to give me a ruling. You see, they are buying time. They are making sure they do injustice on me. They are going to kill me from here today because without my documents I'm dead. They have already taken away all my rights, but I cannot stand being without my documents.
This is King James Nkizamagara, who contested for Sinjiro North MP constituency, that is MP constituency, but he contested in July for the NRM primaries. He lost to Bright Ramilama, and at least for now, we know that the contest has 6 people who are in the race. He has decided to chain himself at the entrance of UNEB here in Ntinda.
They will also not work because I'm also not working. Whatever they have done to me.
Let me see what you've written here on your shirt.
Minister Bamwine, stop using UNEB. UNEB break the chains of intimidation. UNEB break the chains. Protect your integrity. UNEB must protect the integrity of itself and our documents.
So they're saying you never went to school. Can you tell us, can you confirm that you went to school? Which schools are those and where did you
You see,
go?
when I came for a hearing, they told me all the documents I have are in the system. They are not forged, but they had issues with my identity. I identified myself very well with a letter from my head teachers, a NIRA letter, my ID, and everything. I presented them, but they have continued doing the injustice on me. I want them to kill me from here today, and I know I've died for the record of my papers.
So the election is just almost 3 weeks from now. We shall be going for an election, and you're seeing they are not hearing you. So to what end will you go on having this peaceful protest?
I am going to make sure. I fight for my rights. I cannot go to school and you render me an idiot on the streets. I cannot accept that. The ED is in this building because he went to school. The minister, Bright Ramilama, is in the office of the ministry because he went to school. When he invalidates my documents, what does he want me to do? Why is he treating me as an idiot on the streets? I am not an idiot on the street. I went to school. I'm going to demand for my rights. I know the deputy IGG is behind all this that is taking place. The minister, Bright Ramilama, and the IGG, Madam Anna, please.
But how do you know that the minister is behind this? Because you know, he's not here.
The complainant, the person who wrote a complaint against me is a driver to the minister. And the minister is the person I'm contesting with. And you see, they quoted the wrong index number. I am index number 38. The complaint was saying 37. They went ahead and invalidated documents of a totally different person. You see, there is no way I can sit down and sit at home.
And what is the Electoral Commission saying all about this? Because also it's also a party
is saying it has nothing to do with me. UNEB stripped me naked. UNEB is the custodian of my documents. Also, Electoral Commission's hands are tied because all my qualifications were stripped off by the ED of this institution. They gave me a hearing on 28. They failed to deliver a ruling. They told me they are giving me a ruling in 2 days.
Okay. For now, I can see they seem to be ignoring you because from the time you came here, you found the security guards around this place. But now they've scattered to the main road, and no one is attending to you. Yeah. For how long will you be here? I'm
going to be here as long as my documents are still captivated here. Yes. I am a captive of my documents. UNEB must break the chains. UNEB must break these chains and make sure it protects the integrity of our documents and its same integrity. This is the institution that should never involve in such malpractice, being used by politicians. Really to tamper with my education. Every parent who took a child to school knows the sweat, knows the suffering. I will not leave this place until they give my documents.
So King James in Kizamagara, if this is happening to you, you belong to the NRM, even though you lost in the primaries and you were nominated as an independent. What does this say about the whole electoral process that we are going in for?
You see, it shows the starting of the injustice. Some people want to run unopposed because they would like to use a very, very funny means. But I've never heard of this anywhere. I have heard that UNEB grants people documents who don't have them. But I have never heard that UNEB can really strip off somebody who went to school. They believe my documents are in the system. They were validated by UNEB itself. But I don't know how it backtracked to be used. All this, UNEB is being intimidated by big officials.
Why don't you petition the courts of law because they should also be intervened?
I went to court. I obtained an order that they should give me a hearing, a fair hearing. They gave me a hearing. They have failed to give me a ruling. I'm demanding for the ruling of the hearing that took place on 28th. Why do they want the timelines of EC to catch up with me because they are being intimidated by Anna Muhirwe, the deputy IGG? What does she want with me? I hear she's a Christian.
Okay, I want to go back to Sri, but I'm just curious, how were you able to chain yourself around this particular place? Because even this side,
I have come ready to die here to UNEB because of my documents. I am tied in these chains. UNEB must break them. UNEB must break the chains of intimidation from Minister Wamerama. UNEB must break the chains of really this kind of misuse of office. Must break those chains and must stand up for Ugandans. UNEB must stand up for me. UNEB is the custodian of my documents. UNEB, they are supposed to be my witnesses in this matter. But they are people who are crucifying me.
But let me take the clock back. You contested in the NRM primaries in July. How did you lose it to Bright Ramilama, the one you're accusing, who's not here?
Whatever transpired in the primaries, we said okay, and my people said okay, let's go with it. They accepted to go with it, and we said let's run as independent candidates.
And you were nominated?
I was duly nominated. Later on, I was disqualified on recommendations of UNEB. UNEB knows I went to school. The people I sat in examinations with, what do they think of UNEB now? Seeing me suffer like this, because of my documents, the ones that I told before, it is unfortunate. I call upon all authorities. Where is the Ministry of Internal Affairs? Where are they? Where are the human rights defenders? They should fight for us. Now that the ED is being used by the minister and the deputy IGG, what do they want me to do? I am chaining myself. I want UNEB to break these chains. Right. UNEB must pronounce itself. UNEB must break the chains of intimidation. UNEB must break the chains of misuse of office. You cannot take away all my documents. Right. And you expect me to be on streets as an idiot. I will not accept that. I will die for my rights.
That is King James Nkizamagara. He is a contestant for Isingiro North MP race. He was nominated, but then after some time, after UNEB advised EC to disqualify him from the race, and that is why he's here chaining himself at the entrance of the UNEB offices here in Itinda. And for now, I want to take you back to Sri, but I also want to let you know that at least in the race for Isingiro North MP race, we have now 6 contestants. That is Ankunda Best Arnold, who is from PFF. There is Batejeza Baker Kassis, who is an independent and is there contesting, but also there is Intanda Sharif bin Hakim, who is an NUP member, but also there is Rutahire Anthony, who is from the ANT, and there is Ramilama Bright Kanyontere, who is from the NRM, and finally there is Twebaze Kenneth, who is also an independent. He is also one of those who were nominated. He was the 7th, but later on he was disqualified after also losing the NM primaries. Wait to see whether he will be let inside or he will be unchaining himself. But for now, let's take you back to studios of Morning at NTV as the conversations continue on in our studios there, as we continue to wait to see what happens to King James Nkizamagara.
Thank you so much, Stephen Bide, for bringing us up to speed with the unexpected unfolding of these events that are happening at UNEB offices in Ntinda, where we see Kiza Magara, who's been contesting at the Isinjiro constituency seat, is trying to take matters into his own hands, having believed that the other avenues are being frustrated out of political influence. And before we continue with our conversation in studio, I'd like my guests in studio to give us response. And Fred, before you come in, because I know that you're an NRM cadre, you'll give us the final bend to these developments. However, ANT has also had a candidate to the same constituency that has also faced the same challenges. The incumbent MP Bright Ramirama saying that they are not eligible for standing simply because of the same case being risen against them, their academic documentation not being valid. Nelson, what is the update on your candidate's struggles?
Yeah, about ANT candidate Rutahwira Anthony for Isinjiro North constituency. Issue is that...
First of all, how did it unfold?
Yeah, basically, actually, the story is very, very ridiculous. Huh? He was nominated. He was duly nominated by the Electoral Commission. Days after, information came that two of his supporters that he forged their signatures. But it is told, and it is on, on record, that these people were intimidated, approached for them to withdraw or to deny having signed for our candidate. We appeared for hearing, put in our submissions, and we are waiting for the ruling on notice. So it's quite painful that we are seeing, Electoral Commission at some point or this stage where it is supposed to be a neutral arbiter, taking time to deliver rulings. It is not the only ruling that has delayed. Several rulings are pending for judgment by the Electoral Commission. And we know that an election is a process. Time is running very fast. Candidates are being disorganized. So as it stands, we have not had the ruling from Electoral Commission. We submitted all relevant evidence to prove that our candidate did not forge those signatures. Actually, forgery is a criminal offense. So it is not a light offense for it to be passed away and say, had again, a word against the other. It must be, if they want to have justice served, let it be fully investigated.
All right, Fred, would like you to respond and give us your perspective on this situation.
You are coming from a background of a person who likes a strong government. Now, this government we are in now of Uganda is more of neoliberalism, whereby things are supposed to be discussed, take to another level. But I think for us to move forward quicker, we must introduce harsh punishment to mediocres in offices, as far as I'm concerned, because that will help us to reduce unnecessary government expenditure. If, for instance...
Mediocres in offices, which offices are you referring to? Government
offices. Okay. Because if it is true that this gentleman has qualifications from Uganda, according to his age...
Which qualifications are always checked when they're going through the primaries of the NRM.
They normally take them for verification, actually bring certified copies, which I assume that he brought. Then also Electoral Commission, before nominating you, still they demand certified copies. Now, if somebody turns around and says, your papers are not genuine, then these officers also who nominated him needed to be responsible and be held accountable. Because there was no reason for him to have moved from the party after verification Then you go to the Electoral Commission, after verification, get nominated, then at the end of the day, they say, but then he has also mentioned something very fundamental. He said they are quoting certificate number 38 when he's 37.
They're quoting 37 when he's 38.
Yes. But does that really need rocket science? Why don't they look at the two numbers and establish who is who? Yeah. And you end the story. Because it's for some of us who are in government, we take the public for granted. We are paid to do certain services, and if one is not capable of delivering such, he should quit the government, other than bring unnecessary tension and ridicule to the country. Remember now, this is not only at NTV or Uganda. Yeah. We are global. So me a marketer, I wouldn't wish to see Uganda being ridiculed.
These are three people who are against Honorable Bright Ramirama, who is the incumbent of the constituency, who are facing the same issues and all saying being instigated by the incumbent. That is definitely something that we will have to talk about later. It's not going to take up our time. Drawing back to the but
the last one, on that one, where is this referee, Mr. Electoral Commission? If I was in charge of this process, I wouldn't allow my name and integrity to be tossed around. So I would take my position and be accountable for
Allow me to pose the same question to you. Where is this referee, Mr. Electoral Commission chairperson, chairman, in the incidences that unfolded last week towards the National Unity Platform?
Same story. Actually, I fought the Electoral Commission. You see, in the family, when you have children, because you are the elder, they start coming and playing with you, and you don't say anything. Then when visitors come, they start stampeding on them. Even they can even step in the food. So the area you put up your socks as Electoral Commission and bring out the law and take firm stand, the better for this country.
Okay. All right. Nelson Agaba, we have seen scenes unfolding in terms of violence and tensions being created majorly towards the National Unity Platform. But ANT is also a political player in this electoral cycle. Have you experienced any sort of intimidation, any sort of violence, any sort of disruptions by the Uganda police through your political endeavors?
Yeah, we have had certain incidences. The only why perhaps they have not been on the national look is how we manage.
What are the incidences in particular?
Yeah, we look at the incident. We were in Chengela near the market, and this was our day to campaign in Busiro. And the RPC, had to intervene, saying you're not going to campaign here.
Based on what grounds?
And saying you have not notified us, and on notification.
But that notification comes from the Electoral Commission.
But then we firmly had to challenge. Actually, it was even captured. We firmly put it to him. I was present, that it is Electoral Commission through its structure command, because there is a DPC actually at Electoral Commission, who sends information to the RPCs, to the district police commanders on the roadmap. And it is clear that when I am in a particular district, it is upon me, provided I've said I will use this route, I will have to campaign in any place.
Can I give information?
But not police to restrict me that you're not supposed to campaign here, because you are supposed to reach out to voters, put your manifesto out there, and speak. That is campaigning. Campaigning is not supposed to be restricted to particular things. You can give the information.
Very good. I think you are right. When earlier I had said it is difficult to have democracy where there are no Democrats. The good thing is that my friend Musisi is here. Now, police is like a tongue now. It must live between the teeth. The government, as mandated by the state, it is supposed to remain standing until 2026 May, when there's another government. So, police is an instrument of state to make sure that the government does not corrupt. Now, political actors, for them they say, yes, this is our way, and we shall not listen to you. We must move.
But that's
hold on
where
a bit.
the problem is.
Hold on a bit.
Yes, that's where the problem
To the
is.
extent that you have Honorable Shagulanyi, who in Kawempe declared that from now on we are rebels.
But what's the information you give?
All right, so that is not the debate on
Yes.
this floor. I'm going to ask the
if you are dealing with
microphones
rebels,
to be muted.
you are
We do
going-
have
when you are
police
dealing
here
with
that can't
rebels,
speak for itself, Fred.
we
You
see-
can't speak on behalf of police. The
No,
police is here. So, Afande,
I coordinate
please help
chairpersons
us
of security.
understand what is the position of the police as of today, the 8th of December 2025, in regards to their defense on how public order was managed in Gulu over the weekend.
Please, thank you. And thank you for extending this invitation to me in particular and the police force. But before I come to your question, how many days have so far the campaign trail moved on?
We are remaining, I think, with 13 days now. I mean, 34 days remain.
34, I think up to...
So over 2 months have gone.
Yes, so far over 60 days. One, I want to thank everybody who has taken part in this matter. I want to thank those who expressed interest, especially in the electioneering, and also my fellow panelists who have decided to come and give an explanation to our viewers out there. Priscilla, I don't want, we need to have a way of presenting information to the public. When you bring us here and assume you are putting us in a dock, it does not really give the right picture between a dock in court and a dock in the media, in the studio. This is a point where I believe the public should be given a balanced explanation, a balanced trail of how events are moving on, so that it gives him or her hope in the country and in everybody. Because all of us are Ugandans, all of us have a duty to perform, and we do not really want to use the media or the studio as a basis for wishing or demonizing each and every one of us. I want to give hope that Uganda is for all of us. The incidences that are happening are unfortunate, and we need all to be united and condemn them in the rightest sense. You see, Priscilla, when you begin asking, what is the police doing this? It's as if the police is the actor. What about the politicians? What about the reporters? What about... So there are many of these who should be held accountable. So do not really bring me to explain what the police is doing, what the police is doing, and what about what the police is being done, what is being done against the police. Who is explaining that part? So, one, I want us all to join hands, minds, to condemn such acts. They are not acts of the 21st century. They are not acts that for which we would want to qualify and then take on that matter. Now, I think borrowing from what my panelists have said, I think Fred was the one who brought about, you said the situation or politics is not static. Indeed, police is a social science which provides security to a society that is always changing, especially in character, in action. But at the same time, we need to work with all of them. That is one. Two, election for which we are all involved. Please, we are all involved. None of us, we should not only look at the police. All of us are involved in this. It's about contestation. Contestation. So what my brother George, my longtime friend George, and Agaba, and you, when you begin identifying these incidences, those are instances brought about by contestation, especially by what Fred is reflecting on when he's talking about neoliberalism. Because, you know, as society tends to assert itself, as individuals tend to assert their rights, you know, there are certain things which come up. The fundamental question is, how do we manage when these contestations arise? And sometimes these are incidences which depict us in the wrong on either side, because really you will not tell me that it is the politicians who are victims. The police has been victims severally. You have not brought these things to be balanced by the viewers so that they can really give a fair judgment. So if we want to have this journey taken as per the topic of the talk, preventing and responding to election violence, we needed to document, one, who should be held on each party. On each party. If on our part we have a wrong, by the way, we are not angels, we are susceptible to mistakes. How do we correct them? If politicians are on the wrong, they have done it, how do they hold themselves accountable? And we move on as a country, because we all have obligations. You see, before joining this field, each party was given, by the Electoral Commission, it was given guidelines. So who is faulting who? Who is doing what? Then how do we then come 22 grand and say, please, let's move on? But otherwise, on our part as police, I want to call upon each and every one, first of all, be calm, please. Uganda is beyond this. This is a one-time incident, because we had it in 2021. We are now, in 2020, we are now having it in 2025. What happens in between? Life must continue. So I want to encourage each and every one of us, in whichever instances, first, let's condemn this. Secondly, let's look for solutions, especially toning down. The usage of language, provocation, this business of using derogatory statement. You know, the police are few, the army is few, we can do this. But remember that the police, we cannot say we are few, because as a policeman here, I have a family. So all of them are, by conscription, fighting and protecting their policemen. So you'll realize that when you say the police are few, let's do this, you are not saving Uganda. You are not taking Uganda forward. You are instead having an insurrection of violence, which is not the best for us. Have a clear agenda. Have a clear political manifesto, which you needed to consolidate. You see, like Jeremiah had to say, the past is doom, the present is judgment, the future is hope. How do we build on that? To have a doom at the back of it all, the present being a judgment, because we need people to have a choice into the leadership which they want, but do not condemn, do not banish, do not wish, and especially wishing somebody in the negative.
Okay.
Now,
all right. Thank you so much, Afande. Allow us. All right, our conversations do continue on here in our Kickstarter this morning, preventing and responding to election violence and disruption through our election cycle 2026, and also building confidence in policing at election time that we are in. Privileged to be having Fred Anatoli Muleterwa, Head of Community Policing Department. This is under the Uganda Police. Nelson Agaba from the ANT, also National Youth League Coordinator, George Musisi, who's an aspirant in in Kira Municipality and also National Unity Platform. Then Fred Bamwine, Commissioner, Office of the President, but also in the NRM. And so we can't say we have a fair and balanced table this morning on this discussion. Sorry, candidate. Okay, candidate George.
You are using this as a platform for your campaign. No.
That being said,
It's a guided by different rules.
Nelson Agaba here. Nelson, the word youth has been used by the police. They said the youth gangs, youth are instigating this violence, youth are not responding, youth this, youth that, in a negative way. And so you as one of coordinator of youth leagues across the country, first of all, why do you believe that the youth are the falter of some of these things that are primarily happening in this election cycle?
Yeah, that statement is not true that you know, youth are the ones who are violent, youth are the ones who are doing all sorts of man of things. For starters, the youth we are talking about, we are Ugandans. And to be clear, as young people of the Republic of Uganda, we even have more interest than so many old people to preserve our country, Uganda. We love our country, we love our nation, and we do all, you know, is possible to see the desired future, you know, achieved. When it comes to violence, you see, we need to ask who are the perpetrators of violence and who are the victims of violence. Actually, it should be clear on record that most people that are victims of violence are young people. Those are young people that are being beaten up by police, that are being, you know, arrested by police. Many young people are in prison. Many young people are the ones that are even, you know, in forced disappearances. So the first thing is, you know, we have security agencies. And with due respect to Anatoli here, you know, it is by law that security, any armed force, let it be ISO, let it be UPDF, let it be police and ESO, they need to exercise their duty in preserve and respect of human rights. That's by law. Article, that is Article 221 of the Constitution. It's general. So when it comes to this election cycle, of course we are the numbers. And there is this fear factor that once youth are united, once youth keep, you know, are kept organized, they are a spark, you know, bomb. So I think it is also deliberate to speak ill of the, yes.
A spark bomb to what?
You know, to speak one. We are very, very subtle as young people. The moment we stand organized, we shall stand against their repressive orders, their acts. So all they have to do is to act to ensure that we are dispersed, we are disunited, you know, our image is tarnished as being violent, whereas not. Okay. So it is a psychological thing that whenever you say young person, you are seeing a violent person. I'm not a violent person. When you see a young person, you see them as if they have no future. I stand here as somebody who has got a future to fight for. And that's why I stand in all capacities that I'm in to fight for the good Uganda.
That being said then, what strategies are you deploying on, through the different national youth leagues that you have to mobilize youth to ensure that there's continued organization, as you have said, that's something that has been working for you, and also in adopting preventative methods against violence and manipulation?
Yeah, as young people, especially where I sit under the Interparty Youth Platform, one, we participated and we are even signatories to the National Peace Pledge. We championed it, and we have continued to champion the national peace pledge. We need peace. We are championing peace campaigns in different, on different fronts. As we speak, we saw there are peace campaigns going on in Gulu, Kasese, Mbarara, in the east, and so many others. We condemn violence and disinformation.
Okay.
And it is deliberate, because we need to have a peaceful election. This is not a war. You get it? We have, it is very unfortunate that we have seen the defense budget increasing. Uganda is not at war with anybody outside. But look, does that mean that the war is against Ugandans or against the young people of Uganda? Yeah. What's the problem?
I would like to hear Judge's opinion on this. Why? Because in most recent times we have seen government and different other stakeholders, public and private, calling to increased youth participation in democracy. And they have listened and they have come out to do that. But they are also falling most victimized towards their participation through the violence that we are seeing. What's your opinion on that?
One of the things I've agreed with, one of the few things, possibly the only thing I've agreed with Mr. Bamwine this morning, is where he said that you can't have democracy without Democrats. And sometimes it's very hard to expect all these ideals that we talk about in an increasingly militarized state. The fact of the matter is that we are increasingly becoming a military state in practice. That what the law, what this constitution which was done, which was agreed upon 30 years ago says, and what is the practice is totally different. And people, and everywhere in the world, governments will try to exert their force, sometimes even outside the law. However, what pushes them back are the strong institutions like courts, like legislatures, and so on, sometimes even civil society. Now, we talk about youth participation, you talk about youth involvement. However, there is a bigger question in Uganda that is affecting almost every other, even it's behind our backs at the base of this discussion, the issue of the governance issue, the transition issue. That when our constitution was changed, both in 2005 and 2017, to create a life presidency, it became the duty, it became the overarching aim of all state agencies to ensure that they sustain this government in power. That's why the law is bent to sustain this government power. That's why, so it's one thing talking about youth involvement. The story where you went to the Singular gentleman who was on TV, I don't know his age, but the issue is, why would he be crying on TV if institutions were working? Why would he be thinking that there's a stronger individual who ordered an institution to do this and this? So as you call upon youth involvement that participate in this, the youth involvement are going to meet a strong Bamwine. I'm using him as an example because at least he's here. He will not safe house me. If I'm running against a strong Bamwine, who can order the DPC to arrest me? Who can order the EC to withdraw my documents? Who can order? Then what message are you sending to? Okay, maybe I'm not a youth anymore, but Nelson, what message are you sending to Nelson, who one, doesn't have the resources to match up with Bamwine, or doesn't even have the connections to match up with Bamwine? What Nelson would be doing, what any youth would be doing, is to work in a government which works for all, that I don't need to know anyone in EC for them to handle my documents or to handle my case fairly. I don't need to know anyone in court or anyone in UNEB. So youth participation can only work in a democratic environment. You cannot talk about all these things of youth participation, all these other ideals in an increasingly militarized environment.
Speaking of militarized environment, Fred Bamwine, Human Rights Watchers have actually been calling on government to prevent military involvement in the electoral process. First of all, help us understand the presence of the military in the Gulu scenario.
You see, Priscilla, I want to help Ugandans, those who are watching, and even non-Ugandans who are watching NTV, that this government of NRM is the 9th government. There were 8 at the beginning. And a government could not last 2 months, 1 month, government were collapsing. And at that time, that question you could not ask it to a commissioner and be rest assured that tomorrow you will be back. So we know where we have come from. Our history has been so turbulent. Therefore, we know the elections are taking place, but it does not mean that when elections are taking place, government closes and goes away. Other activities continue. And that's why Electoral Commission is trying to regulate, because it is aware that there are other Ugandans who are not necessarily involved in the campaigning every day. Now, what you are seeing, those activities are intelligence-led operations. And the current intelligence does not need even to go to and dig. There is an issue of radicalizing supporters. Radicalization of supporters, if nobody condemns it, this country is doomed. Because somebody cannot declare war because he's campaigning. Campaigning should be a period of telling people what you are going to do for them. Now pick a microphone, you declare, from now we are rebels, go and start doing rebel activities, and there's no any more announcement from today, go and create gangs. Now, what sort of a country do we need?
Judge Musisi, have you had any interactions with the UPDF over the statements that have been made by your party president about radicalization and the rebel statements?
I don't know what Mr. Bamwine is calling radicalization, because the issue would be...
Be specific.
Let him first finish.
Gangs in police.
Fine, wherever they are.
And you accept that you use them.
As a person who represents the president, who coordinates RDCs, we cannot allow any party, whether it be NRM.
So when you say we cannot allow any party, are you talking about government or are you talking about military?
Security. Any group which wants to bring insecurity in the country in the guise of elections, the government has a responsibility to say yes.
Priscilla,
so if
radicalization.
If that is the case, Fred, then why not take out the instigator of this violence you're talking about from the equation, so that then you can have the peace and stability?
But you know, when two elephants fight,
but one elephant is bigger than the other.
Once intelligence has come and says Musisi is putting on this national flag, he's actually camouflaging.
I asked that because in the case of Dr. Kiza Besigye, we saw preventative arrest being used in order to manage situations. Why isn't it being applied now?
But not all operations are the same. If they are going to do it, they'll not tell you. But depending on the security estimates, once the estimate says Musisi's actions are likely to breach the law, is likely to bring violence, then he'll either be prevented to move from home, or he can be arrested in the way, or he can be dispersed. So that's why security has different tools.
In the eyes of the public, Fred, the presence of military is instigating fear in the voter. And that is going to influence heavily the voter turnout on the D-Day. If they continue with heavy presence towards especially opposition parties.
Let me tell you.
So what is the way forward?
Instead of having a Sudan, North Sudan, instead of having a Libya, instead of having a Somalia, we better have those who are willing to go and participate and vote without necessarily causing consequences. Actually, me, I'm surprised.
You're a commissioner. We do have police that can speak for it. Fred, I mean, just a minute. Afande Anatoli, community policing is something that you are strong about, and it all comes down to its activation is highly dependent on citizen participation. What are the realities on ground, especially in scenarios where we're seeing an increase in violations and you know, the actors being police and the public?
One, Priscilla, I would want to differ from you a bit. When you say an increase in the violence, I don't know the measure you are using for that, because personally and generally as we police, we are overseeing a peaceful and a normal process. Besides elections, people are moving on, doing on well with their businesses. Therefore, I know, like you have said, I'm passionate about community policing. Our involvement with different partners, different stakeholders is high. And I would want to, based on that, to give assurance that please, we need support from you in ensuring that all whatever is happening goes on normally. I want to use this opportunity, Priscilla and my fellow panelists, to inform the public that the existence or this season as per se does not wish away state organs like the police. The state organ, like the police, should be given an opportunity and full support in carrying out its mandate. 2, the electioneering period does not in any way change the laws of this country. And therefore, nobody should presume or assume to be doing whatever is doing in the pretext of elections, in the pretext of campaign, because the long arm of the law through the state organs like the police, supported by other security agencies, will come to restore hope and the law. The other one is, please, Priscilla and fellow Ugandans, I want to call upon you, let's respect each other. What we are seeing are scenarios where people want to go overboard. You see, there is a tendency which I have always debated as an individual. When people talk about my right, Priscilla, ask yourself, who regulates collective rights in a public place? Now, if it is the police which does that, can we put a perimeter for which each of us respect the other person's rights? Now, you asked Agaba about the issue and the role of youth. I don't think that youth are bent on one party, but youth are youth of Uganda. I want to call upon youth also using these words, that being a youth is not in perpetuity. You need to live and bend on the shoulders of those who were once youth, but are in their ages of and entrusted in the leadership of this country, to respect, to listen, to seek for mentorship, other than being radicalized, other than using regulatory, so other than
as we are coming to the end of our conversation, Anatoli, my one question is, how can we rebuild trust for the public towards security agencies? 3
things. One is deliberate, continuous engagement. Engagement like this one. 2, toning down. Let's not use very terrible words against each other as if really Uganda is about to end. But 3, role play. We all have different roles, but complementary to each other. Okay. Priscilla, you are a moderator. You cannot be able to take your role. But your being here has facilitated this process. So we need to have that recognition and assert it and move on for the better Uganda.
All right. These are closing remarks. Nelson, building the path to accountability and democracy. If we're to imagine a Uganda where policing is actually respected, what gaps have to be addressed between now and the 15th?
Yeah, I think all starts with, I don't know whether it is even possible, because for all that to be achieved, we need to have strong institutions. Where we need to have a police which is not overridden by the UPDF. We are seeing now the police has been overtaken by the UPDF from the scenes we saw in Gulu, in Kawempe, and elsewhere. Okay. And that speaks to what is the institutional independence of police. And at what point, you know, are they taken over by the UPDF? And it is not the first incident since 2011, 2016, 2021, 2026. But also, too, we need to hear. We pray that the National Security Council, that is chaired by the President, is really takes the courage and the boldness to dematerialize this election today.
Okay, Fred, how do we rebuild respect and trust, a non-partisan view of our security forces?
One is to all Ugandans to know that this country is very big for all of us to live here, regardless of our backgrounds. And so Uganda is for us all. And two, also to remember that these freedoms and peace we are talking about, they can only exist if we all work for the same. Then the third one, my brother here is talking about militarization. All these activities you are seeing, they are police-led operations. And it is within the Constitution that police will work with other security agencies to ensure that there is peace and order.
Okay.
Lastly, it is true where people are in campaigns, it is their rights, but rights are not absolute. Rights, they go with responsibilities.
Judge Musisi, what gaps must be addressed moving forward to ensure that it's a really leveled ground for all stakeholders?
The gaps are actually just basic for each stakeholder to observe the law. What we are seeing, I've seen my brother, a fundamental saying, you know, we must follow the law. Both sides should follow the law. NUP is not even asking for immunity from prosecution. We are saying just follow the law. Similarly, I had Mr. Bamwine here talking about, you know, our president, you know, the president. Our constitution actually doesn't put anyone above the law. He says, you know, as a DCI speak for the president, we just asking, please just follow and respect the law.
Okay.
It's just that basic.
All right. We'll wait to see as the days do continue on. Remember, the 15th of January 2026 is when you and I have to make the decision towards yet another leadership of our democracy. But accountability is key. You are the eyes, you are the ears, and you are the vote that makes the decisions, the changes that you want to see. That brings us to the end of this conversation. I am Priscilla.